Movie reviews. The Sound of Metal is a new movie on Amazon Prime. Anytime we get a new movie this year that's worth talking about, I get excited. I've been hearing a lot about this film, finally got the chance to check it out, so let me tell you my thoughts. It's directed by Darius Marder, and from what I can tell, this is like his first feature-length film. It looks like he directed a documentary in 2018, but this guy doesn't even have a Wikipedia page yet. The plot essentially follows this character named Ruben, played by Ahmed. He's a heavy metal drummer, and he all of a sudden loses his hearing and has to deal with this new lifestyle of all of a sudden being deaf. Co-starred by Olivia Cooke, playing his girlfriend Lou, and we have not seen enough of her in recent years. Both of them in this movie just give a fantastic performance, so let's start there. This movie, ultimately, yes, somewhat about music and the loss of hearing, is really about the relationship between the two of them, and they completely sell it. From the beginning of this movie, you're drawn into caring about this couple, their relationship as they play in a band together, and where it's gonna go now that he can't hear anymore. So that's the start of the movie, that's the premise, but where it goes is just this roller coaster of emotions trying to follow him as he tries to navigate life. Another very important piece of this movie is that he's a heroin addict, and he's 4 years clean, as well as being in a relationship with Lou for 4 years. So there's this consistent correlation of him trying to stay clean and her being a consistent part of his life, being a huge reason of where he is now. Things that I love about this movie is that there is so much to take away from it. There's a lot of underlining tones and themes that you can take away. This movie is presented as an almost thriller, but like a very morbid thriller, not in an offensive way as if someone who is deaf has like the worst life ever, but for someone who has music as such a priority in their life to all of a sudden lose that completely, it's viewed as a terrifying experience for him. And so one of the takeaways that I walked away from this movie is the amount of changes that goes through life and the tragedies that hit us is how we try to grasp onto some sense of normality. Addiction is also a huge theme, and the movie portrays this idea that he's almost addicted to trying to get his hearing back. We spend a lot of time with this deaf community that he tries to be a part of, and they're just kind of accepting of the fact, like, we're deaf and it's not a handicap. They accept what life has given and they try to make the best of it, where he is just consistently trying to move away from this and get back to the way things used to be. It's like that initial high that people get when they first take drugs. That's what he had when he used to be able to hear, and he's consistently trying to chase that feeling back. And ultimately, the movie is consistently placing him in this position of never fully being satisfied. It's a beautiful and haunting thing that anyone can relate to, even if you have never even processed the idea of possibly being deaf someday. So the acting, the analogies and tone this movie is setting up, and also the filmmaking itself is a beautiful masterpiece. Specifically, the sound engineering and mixing throughout this movie is a full-on experience of what this character is going through. There's a lot of this movie that is just muffled or even deafened, and you can hardly hear anything. It utilizes silence and vibrations. It does its very best to give you this immersive feeling to relate 100% to what the character is going through, and ultimately I found it very effective. There are plenty of scenes within this movie where there's a group of people using ASL, and if you don't know what they're saying, like I didn't, you feel lost, and just like this character, and it's meant to be confusing, it's meant to be chaotic, it's meant to be this whole group of people around a table just waving their hands, and you don't understand them, and you feel what this character is going through when he's lost and confused and stressed out. When he's walking down the streets and he hears this consistent ringing and everyone else is trying to get his attention and talk to him and he can't hear a thing, just like you can't as the audience member, you relate to what he's going through. This movie goes above and beyond to give you that full experience, and it often takes moments to be patient and pause and just sit in silence. And I always appreciate when movies have the courage to do that, to just take a break, to just give you nothing, no score, no sound effects, just silence, and utilize it to tell the story. So that's what this movie does. It takes this very compelling story with two amazing actors and ultimately an incredible cast all around, utilizes the sound effects, the tone, the analogies to tell this very compelling story. I thought this was a beautiful film, and it's going to be one of my favorites of the year for sure, and I know in years to come I'm going to look back and remember a lot of specific moments and scenes from this movie. That's The Sound of Metal. Have you seen it? What do you think? Comment below your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this, and I will see you next time.